this is, I believe, a 1/2 inch ratchet. Yeah, pretty sure it's a 1/2 inch. And some of you have asked me, Brandon, why do you use manual tools versus using power tools or air tools to speed up your workflow when you're working on these wrecked bikes? And the simple answer is because it shows people that you don't need expensive tools to get into this, even if you're just doing your oil changes or you're adjusting something on your motorcycle. When I first started riding, I was still living with my parents. And when I first worked on my bike, I snapped a clutch cable. And I rode that bike home with no clutch cable, changed it in the garage. And I remember a side panel that I did not secure properly. And that side panel flew off on the highway. And I think that panel was like $250 or something. And I did not have the money to replace that. So I waited on eBay for months and I eventually found one. It was all like scratched up and stuff, but it was in a lot better condition than the one that I picked back up off the interstate. But all of that was the beginning of my, maintenance on my motorcycle. And that toolbox that I have in here in the garage is still the original toolbox that I bought at some point in time. But from then on, I started working on the 109, doing electrical, like very amateur electrical work. In fact, to this day, I need to go back and fix all of the crap wiring that I did on that bike. Yeah, I definitely could be using, solder or different electrical connectors, but I just like electrical tape. It's easy and it's quick. If you ever need to take it off, you can just take it off. Don't have to worry about doing too much to get it off, but it does leave a residue. But, it works for me. So I'm gonna clip this little piece right here. Let's see. It's gonna be the first. I'm gonna do this one first. I may do that at some point in time, but this one tool, this ratchet, can take apart, I would say, probably 90% of this motorcycle in some form or fashion. Swing arm, the engine, the front suspension is all secured by fasteners that this little device can unfasten. And I look at this also as the barrier to entry to simple maintenance on a motorcycle is so low, and I show myself using this tool more than more expensive and more powerful and more efficient and more intimidating looking tools, because I want people to just see the bare minimum of what's required to do here, to do that here. Now, yes, my wrists and my back and all of that, it gets worked quite a bit. And I also want to say that having a lift is something that I think also creates a lower barrier to entry. There's so many brands that you can get a motorcycle lift, but having a lift, it allows you to do so much as well. And I've removed engines with lifts. But for those of you out there that want to get into motorcycle rebuilding or just, again, doing simple maintenance on your bike, this one tool is probably the best way to get started. But this specific one, I did not have this when I got into this garage. This ratchet plus a set of sockets, I think is like $30. $30 to get started doing things like oil changes, your handlebars, your mirrors, taking things like the suspension struts off if you want to upgrade them, taking the cam cover off if you want to upgrade them. Now, when you start getting into things that have more torque on them, then yes, you're going to need a breaker bar, which operates off the same principles. It has probably just get an adapter. It's cheap, Harbor Freight, and just use that adapter to do what you need to do. But I just want people to understand and see that a lot of this can be done faster. But to me, it's an excuse, really. It's an excuse to saying, like, I don't want people to say, like, oh, he's doing this with all these expensive tools. And, when I see professionals and bike builders, yes, they're professionals and they're almost like, I guess, master mechanic level. And plus they're dealing with billable hours, right? When you take your bike to a dealership, they're trying to get you in and out fast, and they're operating off of a set amount of time that job is supposed to require. So if they're changing out a front end and a rear tire, that should only take them an hour, probably max, right? So they're gonna have power tools because they know like this is only supposed to take a certain amount of time versus me. I'm just like, you know, I'm gonna go in the house, get something to drink, come back. You know what I mean? Like I'm not on a specific time limit here. So I just, you know, this tool is easily one of the most basic but most versatile tools that I have in my, I guess, wall of tools. And when I first got here, I didn't have all of those tools. Over time, I've collected various tools and I tend to buy the tools as I need them. One of my favorite makers of things, Adam Savage from Mythbusters, he talks a lot about, you know, how he'll go to garage sales and just, he looks specifically for tools because he's a collector of tools. He loves tools. And me, I love tools, but I know that I have a limited amount of space and I tend to only buy what I need. For instance, when I was rebuilding the motor, I needed a crankcase splitter. That is a tool that splits the case, but you cannot get the one direct from Indian because they only sell those to the dealers. So you have to find another way of doing it. So I got the one from Motion Pro. Also, I needed piston ring compressors, and I also needed a crankshaft puller, which pulls the crankshaft through the crankcase and combines the engine back together. So there are some specialty tools that I need, but guess what? They all operate off of this. They all operate off of the premise of this one device. So if you're getting into motorcycle maintenance and you want to, you know, go down this rabbit hole of rebuilding bikes, you may have that one bike out there, or there's somebody out there that wants to get into this, but they just simply don't know, right? And they may be intimidated by these big, crazy tools that you see, and you see a motor split open, you're just like, where do I even begin? It all begins with this and curiosity. This one little device. So for those of you out there that want to get into it, definitely get you a set of sockets and a ratchet and a motorcycle lift, and just go at it. And just understand that there's some fundamentals that need to be learned, and I like showing the fundamentals versus trying to overcomplicate things, because my brain just doesn't like overcomplicating things, even though it does. But when it comes to wrenching, this is the basis of it. So that is my explanation for manually doing everything. I just like inspiring people and showing that it doesn't need complicated tools to do it, everything that we do here, especially when it comes to tearing these things apart and putting them back together. So I hope you learned something. I hope you got value out of that. Thanks for listening to my story. And if you're subscribed, which I hope you are, I'll see you in the next one. Peace.